this video, I'm going to explain how to control that water and paint when you apply colors wet on wet. So when you paint wet on wet, especially the sky, let's say you want to create clouds. What do you do to control all that paint so the colors are under control? The first thing is to wet the paper, but it also matters how you wet the paper. So you wet it for a few minutes, because the longer you wet the paper, the more time you're going to have to apply colors. However, right before you're ready to apply the colors, you need to make sure that there's no puddles of water sitting on top of the paper. Next is the ratio between water and paint. What do you have on your brush? Think of it this way. At the beginning, I'm not looking to have a ton of control. I just want to apply the colors, feel it out, and then if I do want to have control, then I will decrease the amount of water in that paint on my brush. Right now, what I'm applying is more like milk-like ratio, or even water-like ratio. So water to milk-like ratio. Now again, the longer I apply colors to that first layer, the more I decrease the amount of water in my paint on my brush. Once you apply the colors, it doesn't mean that you can't go back over the same brush strokes. Of course you can, as long as the paper is still shiny wet. As soon as you feel or see that the paper starts to feel damp, that's when you don't want to go back and touch that area again. Otherwise, you create a bloom. You're gonna end up with hard edges. I continue adding colors because my paper is still shiny wet. And that's because I took my time to wet the paper. I continue moving down. And also what helps to control that spreading, if let's say by accident I added too much water to my brush and paint, what I could do is dry out my brush. It would still be a wet brush, but I would use a damp brush and I could smooth that layer as well. So the steps are to apply colors from the top, and you can start with the blue, shades of blue, or you can start actually with the yellows, the lightest colors first. But if I'm painting a sky that's blue on top, then more likely I will start with shades of blue from the top. At the end of the process of painting the sky, that's when I start applying the clouds or the shadows for the clouds. And usually I'll use a smaller brush for it, but the ratio between water and paint will be much thicker. It will feel more like heavy cream like ratio between water and paint. If I am painting a meadow, then I will keep going down, moving down, but I will keep using the colors of the sky a little lower until I start painting the meadow. So I start using shades of green, but also yellow. I'll start with a yellow for my undertones because simply green is created by a mix of yellow and blue. If that's the case, I might as well use yellow as an undertone, and this way my green will be more vibrant. It will pop more. At the end, once I have parts of the meadow already placed in there, I painted some of the grass there, I will use like a rigger brush to create individual brush strokes. But at this stage, my paint feels creamy, so it's cream top-like ratio between water and paint. Because again, the longer I paint, the more I decrease the amount of water in my paint on my brush. So sometimes it feels like painting with a damp brush with that creamier paint on my brush. Just make sure that your paper is still wet if you're looking to create softness in your painting. If you would like to watch a full class, this class, real-time recorded class, well actually I talk while painting. This is available on Patreon. And if you would like to get familiar first with all the content I have on Patreon, please visit my main website and head over to the Patreon index. You can see all the paintings, so the images of all my paintings. And as soon as you click on one of the paintings, that will take you straight away to Patreon. So I hope to see you there. Thank you so much.